Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rants alongside Tommy Krysan here on this Monday morning edition of Sports Shorts presented by LeBear's Casino. TK, as he does every Monday, is joining us over in God's country, downtown Port Allen, just 5 minutes across the Mississippi River Bridge from downtown Baton Rouge. He's at Court Street Cafe. I'm in an undisclosed location presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame right there. Go to lasportshall.com. We got our Santa Super 7 online auction. Ends tomorrow night. So you got a little over 24 hours. Go check out all the cool stuff. Got obviously dinners and specialty dinners and gift cards for that, but also great sports items for the collector or the fan in your life. Christmas right around the corner. Go help out the Hall of Fame and buy some stuff at lasportshall.com. Of course, we're presented by LeBear's Casino as well, where we were on Saturday for Sports Shorts Radio, and where it will be packed this weekend. Friday, we got college football playoffs begin. 3 games on Saturday, 4 college football playoff games starting this weekend. That's going to be exciting stuff. To see what that feels like, what that looks like. I imagine on those campuses, Tommy, it is going to be absolutely pandemonium and crazy. I'm just thinking to myself, imagine LSU this weekend hosting a college football playoff game. I mean, just especially in the wake of how terrible the Pels are and how terrible the Saints are. The weather's been moderate, so it would be just an unbelievable atmosphere. And one day that'll probably happen. But nonetheless, looking forward to the playoffs this weekend.
You got 4 home teams that are all favored by at least a touchdown. So you got to throw that in there now. We'll see what happens. Big favorites by a touchdown or more, but you kind of think that at home. But it's a new thing. I mean, there's never been a college playoff game on a campus before. So one game Friday night, that's Indiana at Notre Dame. Notre Dame hadn't played on a Friday night in like 100-something years. And then you got, Penn State, Texas, and then Ohio State, 3 in a row home on Saturday. Those games are staggered a little bit. Should be able to watch them all if you want to. And then, of course, somebody's going to punch a ticket in advance to the quarterfinals.
We'll talk plenty more about those games on Wednesdays and Friday's show, but I will say this. The game I am looking forward to the most is Indiana against Notre Dame, because I still don't feel like I have a sense of Indiana. Like, on one hand, they've dominated their competition. They play the one difficult game and get blown out against Ohio State. And this is the biggest game of all the play-in games, the playoff games. Tickets for this thing are at an all-time premium. If you look at StubHub and SeatGeek and all those things, and some of that has to do with Notre Dame Stadium isn't the biggest stadium in the world, but like the minimum tickets, the worst tickets are $700 plus. So this is the one that you talk about 2 in-state rivals. Obviously Indiana isn't normally good in football, so naturally they're just losing their mind. And then Notre Dame hosting a playoff game, got to be feeling pretty good about themselves ever since Brian Kelly left. And so this has just got so many storylines to it. And so the tickets are literally, to get good seats could be $1,000 plus. That's crazy for college football. All right, let's talk about the bad. The good, college football playoffs right around the corner. The bad, New Orleans Saints and the Pelicans. Pelicans, one line, 5-22, Tommy. 5-22. This was supposed to be a year we thought they'd win 50 games and make the playoffs. They have been decimated by injuries, not just the big 3, but the big 8. And they're terrible. I'm curious to see when they start unloading some of these players, what they start to do to try to trade them. But right now it's a bad deal. But let's talk about the Saints. Saints, it came down to a 2-point conversion. What did you think of yesterday's game in its entirety?
Well, the Saints started off, didn't look good at all, and then they kind of woke up in the second half, played good, played hard. I got a little juice from Spencer Rattler coming in, and he you can tell he's a rookie, but he did some good things, moved the team down the field. That's what it's all about. And, and then Coach Rizzi said after the game in his post-game comments that he knew he was going for 2 as they were driving. It wasn't going to be okay, what do we have? And then Rattler, being a rookie, missed a guy wide open in the back of the end zone on the 2-point conversion. That film's going everywhere. But, it's a little easier to watch it from the bleachers, the press box, the suites, or on TV at home and see all that. It's a different thing. So, I mean, Rattler will learn from that. But, yeah, it was a spirited effort by the Saints, but they lost. Commanders had more to play for. Jaden Daniels was spectacular in many ways during the game. By the way, Ronnie, they updated the draft order this morning. If the draft were today, and we know it can change, Saints have the 10th pick in the draft. Now, that can change. I don't think it'll go much into 6 or 7, but it could get to 9, could get to 11, whatever. But the Saints, I mean, a good crowd in the dome, it looked like. Got it fired up in the second half. You were there, but they didn't get it done.
Couple of things. One, I would love to ask Rizzy and his coaching staff what they saw in practice or what they believed that Haener gave them a better chance to win Spencer Rattler. Because at the end of the day, it came down to that decision. Haener in the first half, now not all of it was his fault. I mean, offensive line was atrocious. But Haener played terrible. The whole offense played terrible in the first half. And then Spencer Rattler comes in there in the second half and gives them hope and gives them life. And yes, you're right. He missed a wide open receiver in the back of the end zone as he was kind of running for his life. But at the same time, he did hit a receiver in the hands who dropped it. And difficult catch. You're running full speed towards the sidelines, but it hit in two hands. And the way that it hit was the receiver had his hands like this instead of his hands like that. You know, I mean, like, I just don't understand, how professional football players don't know how to at least attempt to catch the ball correctly. I mean, they had it the wrong way. But that said, Spencer Rattler plays this game. They may win it.
I agree with you. And again, the funny thing was they kept saying Haener winning the transfer portal after the game or whatever. But no, I mean, how these guys can't get it right with their hands, or the Colt running back that dropped the ball before he crossed the goal line yesterday. I mean, some of these guys are just, I mean, you gotta focus a little bit. I mean, it's crazy.
Listen, I thought this game played out okay for the Saints from this perspective. Saints played good enough to win in the second half. They probably should have won. You got good play out of Rattler, which gives you hope for him the rest of the season. Because let's face it, you're probably going to be Derek Carr next year and Spencer Rattler as the backup. I mean, that's probably going to be your 1-2. So you want, Rattler to look good, get all the reps he can, so that in the wake of an injury next year, or in the wake of you letting Carr go at some point after that, you've got your quarterback of the future. Because as much as we talk about quarterbacks of the future, Tommy, it's hard to find them. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to be right. Sometimes you get lots of choices, but chances to pick the quarterback of the future, but it doesn't work out. Look at the Jets. So, I thought this played out well. The Saints lost, which means, all right, you're sitting there at 10. They need to lose the rest of the game so they can maybe have the 7th pick or something like that.
Well, and the next game, Monday Night Football next week in Green Bay. Probably going to be pretty cold in Green Bay. Let Rattler play the whole game. I don't care if he throws 2 picks in the first quarter. Let him play the whole game. Get those snaps, get those reps, learn, and try to get better. I mean, that would be the plan for me. There's only 3 games left for the Saints. They're 3 games back in the NFC South, and they play Tampa in the last game. And if craziness happens, that could be an important game. But in the NFC South, but I doubt if that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to go into Green Bay and win, but I clearly think they should start Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, no, they're going to go in and they're going to lose. I mean, the Green Bay's playing good right now. They went over and took care of Seattle on the road pretty handily yesterday, and now they're at home on Monday Night Football. I expect that the Packers are going to roll in that one. Then the Saints play a terrible Raiders team at home, so that they probably are going to be favored in that game, which stinks. Because again, I'm trying to get them to lose. Because I mean, look, we laugh about it, but there's a difference between picking 11th or 12th and picking 7th, or 8th. I mean, think of, if you go back and you look in the history of football, and you look at the 7th and 8th picks versus the 12th picks. I mean, that's a big difference. And for the Saints, I want them to be able to take a guy that they need and want, versus a guy that, man, we wanted this guy and that guy, but they were gone, and we took the best available or whatever. Yeah. So anyway, I thought yesterday played out. By the way, tons of Commander fans in the stands. Tons of Commander fans. I mean, granted, Saints fans are dumping tickets cheap. If you live in Washington, you get to come down to New Orleans and, in December, and the weather's good. And of course, the Commanders are having a great season right now. They're in the playoffs. If the season were to end today, they got 9 wins. Everybody expected them to be terrible with the rookie quarterback. Here they are, legitimately a contender in the NFC. And so they had a ton of Commander fans in the house yesterday. But anyway, yeah, one more game left to go there, and then we'll be done. LSU women's basketball, they won yesterday. They're now 12-0, Tommy. They took care of the Raging Cajuns. Men's basketball had a tough one on Saturday.
They lost to SMU by 10 points and took it on a chin. They didn't play real well, so I guess you credit SMU. They should get a win tomorrow night at home against Stepson. Women on the road against Seton Hall tomorrow, who's a decent team. So basketball, of course, conference play is right around the corner for the LSU men and women.
Excuse me. LSU's team was right there till about 10 minutes to go in the second half against SMU, and then SMU pulled away. The SEC has been so good non-conference. I mean, they've been on a roll, just unbelievable, and which is good and bad for LSU. Is going to help them when they get to the conference time. They're going to help them with their power rating and strength of schedule and all the computer-related issues. But it also means they're going to be playing really good teams, and can they be 500 like they were last year? I have a feeling that this team's not going to be 500 like they were a season ago in conference play, but yet be a better team than they were a season ago, just because of the strength of the conference. So let me get back to NFL for a minute. Obviously we spend a lot of time looking at this. Look at the Saints. Chiefs won again. They took care of business. Cleveland Browns. Jameis went through a bunch of picks early in that game. But I don't know, anybody's noticing a guy by the name of Sean Payton? Last year, Sean Payton took a lot of heat. The Broncos were terrible in his first year as coach. He and Russell Wilson didn't click, didn't get along. They dumped some players. People thought, here we go again. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. It's the quarterback, not the coach, right? Drew Brees and Sean Payton. But Sean Payton has a rookie quarterback. They're doing the Washington Commanders. You got 2 rookie quarterbacks, both battling to be rookies of the year, and both of them have 9 wins or in the playoffs right now. If their season would end today, I mean, like, what Sean Payton is doing in Denver is impressive, especially considering Bo Nix was awful the first 3-4 weeks of the season. Jaden Daniels came right out the guns blazing this year and was playing really good since the first game of the year. Bo Nix, not the case. And Sean Payton put all his eggs in the Bo Nix basket, said, this is my guy, this is my quarterback, I want him. I mean, he was saying that even before the draft to people that would listen, that he was scouting Bo Nix. He knew he would be able to get him because he'd fall to him. And here he is proving everybody right and proving he's still a stud coach.
Yeah, one thing about Bo Nix that Peyton pointed out, he started like 61 games in college, so that, I mean, there's some value in that as opposed to the guy that maybe only played 12 games or played 14 or 15. And he believed in him, and apparently it looks like it's working. The Broncos, one of the surprise stories in the NFL. Another thing that came out of yesterday, right, a whole lot of injuries. I mean, I know there's injuries every week in every game, but it was marquee names. The annual sprained ankle for Patrick Mahomes occurred. I mean, a lot of guys getting hurt. Lions apparently lost 2 cornerbacks for the season in their game, starting cornerbacks. So the injury bug maybe jumping a little more than normal yesterday, but the Broncos are a story. Now the Eagles are a story. The Bills, I mean, Josh Allen's doing things that have never been done in the NFL as far as touchdown passes, rushing touchdowns. I think he's got 3 straight games without being sacked, turning the ball over, or having a negative play. I mean, that's mind-boggling to go one game like that, much less go 3 games like that. I mean, it's just crazy.
Well, I tell you, Tommy, the big games yesterday, of course, the Eagles have won 10 in a row now. They knock off the Pittsburgh Steelers in dominant fashion. Jalen Hurts, criticized left and right, but all he does is win. This is, I think, his 3rd year that he's had 10 wins or more as a starting quarterback in the NFL. And then, of course, you mentioned Josh Allen. The Buffalo Bills go on the road, win in Detroit, which Detroit's been one of the best top two teams in the NFC all year long. But those injuries, Detroit's overcome those injuries, and now they're getting more of them. Like now, the Eagles squarely are the best team in the NFC. They're healthier, and the Lions are in a tough spot. As great as they have been, those injuries might just be too much for them. But right now, the road looks like that Philadelphia is the best team in the NFC. We'll see how it plays out the last couple of weeks. But and then in the AFC, even though I'm not betting against the Chiefs. Sprained ankle, not sprained ankle, last second field goals, ugly wins. And I know that the Buffalo Bills have Josh Allen and they have foul points and they hung 48-49 on the board yesterday and all that kind of stuff. Chiefs already have home field advantage and it goes through Kansas City. And as long as Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid have home field advantage, I'm always going to bet on the Chiefs. I might put a little bit, might hold my nose, might think, you know what, the Bills can get them. But somehow the Chiefs are going to win, Tommy. We've just seen this story time and time again.
The Bills have scored over 40 points 3 games in a row. As of this morning, in my mind, the Bills are the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl. In spite of going through Kansas City and Mahomes, you just got to feel the way this team is playing right now in middle of December. If they can carry that into January, you may be going to erase that 4 straight Super Bowl loss thing back in the early 90s. If I had to bet it today, I'd say the Bills will win the Super Bowl, and it'd probably be over the Eagles, maybe the Lions if they correct a few things.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be over the Eagles. But yeah, I hear you. It makes all the sense in the world to say that, but somehow Patrick Mahomes is still going to do his thing. In the Superdome this past Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they had the Louisiana High School Athletic Association state football championships. They crowned 8 state champions in their different divisions. And Thursday and Friday, the games were really good. I would say of the 6 games, 5 of them were one-score games, came down to the wire, all that kind of stuff. Not the case on Saturday. Carr blew out Alexandria, the Trojans. And the upset of the year, it was Central High of Baton Rouge. First time in the Dome, taking and beating the Ruston Bearcats. Now, Ruston was the defending state champs, number 1 team in the country, in the state. Had beaten some big teams in Texas earlier in the year, the whole 9 yards. And Central, if you know the story in the semifinals against Neville, blocked a field goal, ran it back for a touchdown when they were already down in that game, 13-10, and they had a short chip shot field goal, blocked it, ran it back for a touchdown, and won the game with like a couple minutes to go. But let me tell you this, Tommy, talking with some high school coaches and people that cover high school, I was told by 2 different sources that I respect that Ruston is probably a 4 touchdown, 28 to 30 point favorite now. This is before the game, that Ruston was a 28, 30 point favorite against Central. And Central won 42-0. Okay. That is a 70-point swing. Might be the biggest swing differential upset. I'm not talking about they beat Central. They dominated Central. It wasn't a cheap win. It wasn't Ruston played bad. It was Central played a perfect football game and absolutely manhandled them. Ruston's offense still couldn't score if they were playing against Central's defense. And then Central's offense, who's been terrible all year or disappointing all year, and some of that had to do with their quarterback and running back and other players getting in an automobile accident before the first game of the season. And now they're all healthy. But they finally put it together. And, I mean, this was the most dominant state championship performance I've seen ever. And it came with a team that was a 28 to 30 point dog, Tommy.
I agree. I mean, you got to give those kids from Central credit. Coach David Semino, who, takes 3 different teams to the Dome. I mean, obviously the guy can coach. Yeah, 6 years. Obviously the guy can coach. And that Central community very proud of their Wildcats in all sports, boys and girls. And to get that state championship and the way they got it. That's the story, like you said. It's not like they won 14-13 when Ruston went for 2 and didn't make it, okay? They were up 35-0 at half. The game was over. I mean, you could have got on a bus and went home then. The game was over. So huge credit to them. And then, of course, Edna Carr, dominated the Alexandria Ash Saturday as well. But a lot of good games Thursday and Friday. And again, you got to tip your hat to the Central Wildcats.
Just an unbelievable performance. You talk about Semino. You know, he played at Parkview Baptist for Kenny Guy, and then played there, coached there, learned from a legend. Was a champion at Parkview, and as a player and all that, and coach, assistant coach, and then went on to be a head coach at Catholic Point Capee. Took them to the Dome in 19. Took Catholic of Baton Rouge to the Dome in 21 and won it. And then now he's over at Central and won a state championship in the most impressive way I've ever seen a state championship do it against a big time quality opponent in Ruston. Ruston has a number of college players on it, and they look like junior high against Central. I mean, Central is a team of destiny. They worked it out. They had the parade at 9 o'clock in the morning. They moved the parade a couple hours.
Well, we said move the parade, so I'm glad they did.
Yeah, they moved the parade, got that in, and then folks were able to drive down to New Orleans for the 3:30 game and watch Central beat Ruston. Incredible stuff. All right, TK, tell us about what's going on over at Court Street Cafe.
Hey, big crowd here today. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. They'll be closed Christmas Eve and Christmas, but check out Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. Jason and the staff do a super job. The lunch specials, the dinner specials, the weekly specials, full service bar behind me. Court Street Cafe, just a couple of minutes over the Mississippi River Bridge, plenty of parking. 805 Court Street in Port Allen. We want you to check out Court Street Cafe.
I mean, what a year. Sid Edwards wins the mayoral race in Baton Rouge, the former Central High coach. Central wins the football, and Dirk Lockhart gets engaged yesterday, Tommy.
I saw that. Wow. There's something in the water this month, right?
Incredible.
Hey, and Santa's Super 7, they got today and tomorrow at lasportshall.com. I went through the list of items the other day. It's very impressive. People need to check it out.
Yeah, great stuff. Go on there, help support the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, and bid on some auction items. We've got hundreds of auction items, and you can also, get something for that sports fan or get some great gift cards for dinners and stuff as well throughout the state of Louisiana. So go check it out. And also, I'm going to give a shout out to Ricky Marshall's family. Ricky Marshall passed away suddenly yesterday, a guy I worked with the SEC Network and LSU production crew for years and years and years. Awesome guy. Anybody who knows him, that worked in television for LSU athletics for the last 25 years on a scoreboard team or when the SEC Network came around, knows what a special person Ricky is. So prayers to he and his family. All right, Tommy, have a good one, and we'll see you Wednesday morning for more Sports Shorts.